It's unfortunate because like you're expected to be good at it without any, no matter how much or how little experience you've had, no matter if you've had, and no one's sort of able to train or teach people or educate people in a really useful. Everything you get in, say, high school, like sex education, is basically just about how pregnancy works and how to wrap up, but nothing to do with being intimate and being, passionate and pleasing your partner or understanding the female anatomy in a sexual way. Not that I think that should be taught in schools at all, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But it's this giant skill set that guys just go through life, and if they're lucky enough to have the experience to know what they're doing, well, great. But if they're not lucky enough, well, then
that's a big issue.
There's a problem.
Yeah, no, and then I like how you brought up the emotional thing, because that's what, if there's anything also we've learned so much from the show, is women are very emotional creatures, and to get them off and stuff, it's a very emotional thing. So like that's what I'm really excited about asking about, is those type of questions, because I think that's what guys don't know how to do, is get them to the emotional state that they need to be at. Let's go ahead and start with I want about yourself, bro. I just want to know, like, I already know that you're from Australia, but go ahead and let everybody know, like, where in Australia you're from, more about your life. Like, did you grow up in a 2-parent household or a single-parent household? And what were your, did your dad influence you a lot to get into your career and become who you are? Like, where did you get a lot of this masculinity from, you think?
So I'm from Western Australia. I'm from the southwest in Western Australia. I grew up in a really tiny rural farming town, like a couple of thousand people.
Yeah.
Tiny. My parents were married my entire life. Like, happy, stable family. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings.
Okay.
So like, basically as textbook a family as you could probably get, really. No problems in the household. Like, dad did his job, mum did her job. Like, she was a stay-at-home mother. Her mother, raised
very
us
traditional.
Very, very. That's what I'm looking for. Very, very traditional. But to be honest, my father was a provider. He wasn't a teacher of any way.
Yeah.
So he was just working his ass off my whole life. So he'd come home late at night, eat dinner, go to sleep, wake up, crack of dawn, back to work. Same thing again, every day.
Yep.
Right. And so it's weird. Like, my brother kind of raised me in a weird way. Like, my brother was more my masculine role model, if I want to say that, early on, and he actually wasn't a very good one. Because my brother, now I don't want to shit my brother too much, but me and my brother are about as polar opposites as you could probably get of 2 men.
Oh wow.
So I'm, professional sex maniac or whatever you want to call it. Like, that was my kind of profession for a long period of time. My brother is like how old he would be now? He's a 45-year-old who has never had a girlfriend.
What?
Like anime, like head of like an anime fan club kind of thing. Like,
this is all catching me by a huge surprise. Literally the opposite of you.
Yeah, literally the polar opposite. But he was my masculine role model growing up, and so I grew up a complete dork.
Wow.
I grew up a massive mega nerd, like video games, board games, everything, the whole lot. And I had to, like, I can't remember what exactly caused it, but I had to basically relearn everything. I got to a certain point in my life where I was frustrated. I was like, okay, like, I'm not happy. Like, nothing's working out. Yeah. I'm doing great in school. Whatever. That was the one thing I had down. I was great in school and I was very athletic, right? And then I got to a certain point, but the one of things, I was like super frustrated by this because my brother didn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
My dad didn't teach me anything, and so it got to this point where I had to, like, kind of discard everything I had learned and start from scratch with my worldview and figure it out from the ground up again.
What age do you think you were when that happened? Like, what year was that?
Probably when I was like 18.
18, and what year was that around?
Ooh, you're testing me now.
Like early 2000s?
Yeah.
Or late 90s?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Early 2000s?
Yeah.
And how much older is your brother from you?
He's 10 years older.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how crazy, he's the opposite of you, though. So, like, does he not ask for dating or women advice? Does he not try to,
I tried to give, a long time ago, like probably 10 years ago, I tried to, like, put out the olive branch, so to speak, and, like, hey, I've learned a couple of things here. If you want some help.
Yeah. Never
spoken of again.
Wow. It's really crazy to think that you have a sibling that's the opposite of you.
He's also a massive lefty and liberal.
Wow. the opposite.
I'm super right wing. So.
Yeah, no, that's really crazy but he was your main inspiration. Do you have another brother, or was it your sister?
I have a sister, yeah.
Okay, for the other sibling.
Yeah,
and it was just y'all three.
Yep, that's it. I'm very, very close with my sister. We get along really well.
Okay.
She's like, I'm kind of like exactly like my dad. My brother is kind of exactly like my mother, and my sister's like a mix between the two of us. It creates this weird dynamic.
Yeah, that's definitely different. So now I want to know though, do you personally like to give women orgasms? Is this something that like you were talking about? I was watching the Michael Sartain show the other night with Rolo and stuff, and y'all were talking about that subject. I want to know, do you like to like the woman yourself?
To get my partner off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get off on getting my partner off.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. Yeah.
So for me, it's and not every guy is like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. Not every guy is into that. But I don't know. There's something about me. For me, maybe it's like a control thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it is like
a little bit.
Yeah, like as in I kind of look at it like I know her body better than she is. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this and that to you, and you have no control over your response because I know exactly what I'm doing and I know exactly what buttons to push. Right. Yep. So that kind of gets me off in this egotistical kind of way.
Yeah.
And that might be technically selfish, but screw it. Like we're both at time. So
that's a healthy selfish.
It's a healthy version of selfish. I agree. Yeah. Healthy selfish. So yeah, I would say I do get off on doing that, and I think that's part, especially when I was a teenager, when I got my first ever girlfriend. Man, I went. To me, it was just experience of like, oh, like me and her, we were both each other's firsts, and it was like, oh, we can both with randy teenagers explore the other sex.
Yes.
As much as we were both like trying out new stuff. It was this really interesting experience for me. So, and I think a large part of my enjoyment of getting the other partner off came from my first girlfriend, because it was also like whenever like I pressed the right button, it was like learning something new.
Yeah.
Like unlocking a new achievement.
Yes.
Right. It's like, aha, this is how the clitoris works.
Yes.
Oh, this is how the nipples work.
Yeah. Right.
And as I progressed and learned, it just ingrained that. I guess it anchored that more and more into my psyche of like in getting my partner off. Yeah.
Have you learned more from that experience that women are more the same than you think, or actually more different than you think? Like some girls are like, don't touch my nipples, or like some girls are like, I need the clit. Like obviously every girl is different, but do you think from your mass experience with women that a majority of them the same, or a majority of them are actually different?
I think a majority of them are the same, with the one exception of the nipples.
Yes. I agree with you so much on this.
The nipples, and this has come from my experience in pornography, right? So in porn, you'll typically sit down with your scene partner before the scene starts, and you'll go over a general do's and don'ts list, and like what do you like, what don't you like, because you don't want to step on someone's boundaries and stuff.
Yeah.
And like some girls will be like, do whatever you want to my nipples, like pull the damn things off. Other girls will be like, don't touch them.
At all.
And everything in between. And it's just the one thing I could never really predict was like nipple sensitivity on a woman. Mm-hmm. Like 90% of the time I'd have a success rate on like, okay, does she like things a little bit more rough, maybe like spanking, hair pulling, whatever. 90% success rate on like, okay, I can tell if she's going to be into this or not.
Mm-hmm.
Nipple sensitivity, no freaking clue. That's a complete crapshoot. That is total roll of the dice. And even with like clitoris, like clitoral orgasm versus penetrative orgasm, like to a degree I've been able to predict that as well. And that is, although that is like, okay, women are different in that regard, the way you get a woman off either through clitoral orgasm or through penetrative orgasm is the same across the board, right?
Yes. So
there's these varying degrees of difference, but overall the way you get them off in these different fields is the same.
I was reading something about how like it's like the nerve ending or whatever that goes, like there's a nerve ending that goes from the clit to the wall where the G spot is or whatever. So like it's all kind of connected in some kind of way, but some girls have a bigger G spot or like a bigger clit or whatever, so it's easier for them. Yeah. No, I've learned so much over the years. If there's anything I learned, that every girl is fucking different, but at the same time they're kind of the same, like you're saying, you know, like the nipple play kind of thing. That's a really funny thing that you brought up, because yeah, I agree. There's some girls that love it, and there's some girls that fucking hate it, bro. Like they just don't want it at all.